Welcome to this explainer. Listen, if you've ever felt like your anxiety is just this incredibly heavy, invisible backpack you literally can't take off, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're diving into a genuinely transformative book. It's called Beyond Survival, A Practical Guide to LGBTQI+ Anxiety by Jerwayne Gulovic. And let me tell you, this is not your typical run-of-the-mill self-help book that just tells you to, think positive or breathe away the stress. No way. This is a deeply compassionate, totally evidence-based roadmap built specifically for queer and trans folks. So let's just jump right in and see exactly how this book can be a real game changer for you.
So, check out this question. What if your anxiety isn't actually irrational at all? Seriously, just kind of sit with that for a second. For so many LGBTQI+ people, just getting through the day takes a massive, exhausting amount of self-monitoring. You know the drill, right? You walk into a room and instantly scan it to see if it's safe. You catch yourself editing your own sentences halfway through, or you mask parts of who you are just to feel secure in a new place. And after carrying that weight for so long, you might have started to think, man, I'm broken. There's something wrong with me. Well, Gulevic's book asks us to completely toss that assumption out the window.
Okay, let's dive into this. A lot of those traditional frameworks for anxiety, they treat your distress like it's a personal flaw, like it's a glitch in your system or some kind of weakness in your brain that needs fixing. But here is the massive paradigm shift that Gulovic brings to the table. Your anxiety is actually a patterned adaptation. Your nervous system didn't malfunction at all. Actually, scratch that. It did the exact opposite. It intelligently adapted to environments where just being yourself carried real social weight, where safety was absolutely not guaranteed. It's a survival strategy. And hey, it worked. It kept you safe. It's just that now it's kind of running in the background when you really don't need it to be.
To really wrap our heads around why this happens, we've got to talk about minority stress theory. This is a foundational concept from researcher Illan Meyer. Basically, it's the idea that belonging to a stigmatized group adds this chronic extra layer of stress. And it doesn't replace your normal everyday stress, like, paying your rent or dealing with a bad boss. It literally stacks right on top of it. And it works in two directions. First, there's the external stuff, like overt discrimination or systemic barriers. But then there's the internal stress, which honestly can be even more invisible and exhausting. It's that constant anticipation of rejection that literally rewires your nervous system to expect danger everywhere, even in places that are supposed to be completely safe. And this brilliantly illustrates what we call the visibility safety paradox. This right here is the core conflict of LGBTQI+ anxiety. On one hand, of course, you want connection. You want the freedom of just being openly, authentically yourself. But on the other hand, your lived experience has taught your nervous system that being visible usually comes with a pretty hefty price tag, like scrutiny or shame. It's like, imagine wanting to hold your partner's hand in public, but the second you reach out, your brain starts frantically scanning the street for threats. The very thing that promises freedom, visibility, triggers this deeply inherited alarm system designed to protect you. So no wonder you're tired. You're stuck in this endless tug-of-war between wanting connection and needing protection. Now, one of the things that makes Beyond Survival such a fantastic guide is that it absolutely does not flatten the queer experience into one single narrative. Because, let's be real, intersectionality multiplies the variables. When you layer on different forms of marginalization, like race, ethnicity, gender identity, class, disability, or religion, your anxiety system has to work overtime to monitor so many more things simultaneously. A Black trans woman navigating a corporate office is running a wildly more complex threat calculation than a white cisgender gay man living in a super progressive city. The alarm system isn't just louder in these cases, it's practically overburdened, desperately trying to keep you safe on a dozen different fronts all at the same time. So how do we get out of this? How do we move beyond just surviving? Well, Gulovic brings together three major pillars to build this incredibly supportive toolkit that heals the mind and body together. First up is minority stress theory, which we just talked about. This is crucial because it validates your lived experience. It tells you exactly why the alarm is ringing in the first place. Second, there's Cognitive Behavioural Therapy, or CBT, which steps in to interrupt those unhelpful thought loops that keep spinning once the alarm gets tripped. And finally, clinical hypnotherapy, or hypno-CBT. This works on a much deeper level to settle the nervous system and actually update those automatic emotional responses. Together, the whole shebang acts as a guide to help you reclaim your space.
But listen, there's a profound truth we have to face before any of those tools will actually work. You literally cannot think your way out of a body that is already in a state of alarm. This right here is exactly why so much standard self-help totally fails. If your fight-or-flight system is fully cranked up, your heart is pounding, your chest feels tight, your palms are sweaty, the logical thinking part of your brain goes completely offline. It's shut down. You cannot absorb new logic or challenge your negative thoughts when your physical body is 100% convinced that a tiger is chasing you down the hallway.
Because of that, getting regulated has to come first. Let's run through a few super accessible, on-the-spot tools you can use to settle your nervous system right now. First, try naming 3 things you can see or hear. This pulls you right out of a mental spiral and anchors you back into the physical room. Next, just press your feet firmly into the floor. It gives your body a real tactile sense of gravity and safety. Another huge one, make your exhales just a little bit longer than your inhales. This biologically signals your parasympathetic nervous system to stand down. And lastly, return to a steady, internal, safe place image. These aren't magic tricks, but they gently shift your body out of survival mode so you can actually be receptive again.
So, the crucial point is, once your body is settled down, we've got to take a hard look at your behaviors. Let's talk about the avoidance loop. It's basically a 4-step trap. Step 1, you anticipate a threat. Let's say it's an intimidating social event where you don't know anyone. Step 2, you avoid it. You text them and cancel at the last minute. Step 3, boom, you feel this immediate, glorious rush of relief. But here is where it gets tricky. Step 4, that temporary relief actually reinforces the fear. It teaches your brain, hey, the only reason we survived tonight is because we bailed. So every single time you avoid something, you rob yourself of the proof that you could have actually handled it. And that just makes the fear stronger for next time.
But you know what? Avoidance isn't just turning around and walking out the door. Often, it looks like what Gulovich calls safety behaviors. This is the sneaky kind of avoidance that happens while you're technically still present in the room. It's constantly checking your phone at a party so you don't have to make eye contact. It's over-explaining yourself so nobody could possibly misunderstand you. It's laughing off a microaggression instead of calling it out. These are subtle, exhausting acts of fear-based compliance. Sure, they might smooth things over in the short term, but they completely block you from gathering the evidence that you can survive the discomfort of just being your authentic self.
So how do we actually break this cycle? Well, the book lays out a really actionable, deeply supportive framework for this. Step 1, map out what you're actually avoiding. Be honest with yourself. Step 2, build a graded approach ladder. This means you are absolutely not jumping into your biggest fear on day 1. You take tiny, manageable steps, like going to a small coffee meetup before trying to tackle a massive networking event. Step 3, consciously drop those sneaky safety behaviors we just talked about. Put the phone in your pocket. And Step 4, stay present. You do this to gather fresh evidence, to slowly prove to that outdated alarm system of yours that the threat level is dropped and that the world is safer than your anxiety is predicting.
Now, keeping up with all this requires a realistic game plan. Gulovich introduces this awesome concept called the maintenance menu. It's a 3-tiered strategy, so no matter where you're at, you always have a reachable next step. Tier 1 is for mild stress, simple 2-minute resets, like extending your exhales or briefly grounding your feet. Tier 2 is for moderate stress, taking maybe 10 minutes to sit with a journal and untangle your current thought loops. And Tier 3 is absolutely vital for crisis moments, reaching out for professional or relational support. And I want to be super clear here. Seeking an LGBTQIA+ affirming therapist is not a sign of failure. It is literally one of the most powerful, self-respecting tools you can utilize to build the life you want.
And that brings us to the ultimate, incredibly liberating truth of this entire approach. You do not need to be fearless to live freely. Let me say that again. You don't need to be fearless. The goal of Beyond Survival isn't to magically erase every ounce of fear in your body. It's not about permanently shutting off an alarm system that actually worked really hard to protect you when you needed it. The goal is simply to build a life where that alarm system isn't the one sitting in the driver's seat making all your decisions. It's about taking your agency back.
So, I want to leave you with a powerful, kind of provocative question to chew on. If anxiety no longer made all the decisions in your life, what would you want more of? Think about it. Would you want deeper connections, more spontaneity, just the freedom to be truly, entirely authentic? Look, your anxiety kept you safe in the past, and we respect that, but you don't have to just survive anymore. Your experiences make total sense. You are deeply valid, and you absolutely have the power to organize your life around what you truly value. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope you feel empowered to take that very first step toward your chosen life.